from Mother Earth, through us her children, on to the Great Spirit beyond. May the life force and healing energy of the air, water, and earth we share come into our bodies to heal our hearts and our minds with love for all of creation. From the One, through the One, and to the One, we know and we love the Great Spirit's guidance with our gentlest breath and our deepest meditation. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So now, as we sip our water, renew yourself. You can be brand new. This is brand new water.
We're brand new.
Yay.
All right, here we go. Cheers, mate. All right, so here we are. Speaking of interesting people, we're back talking to Jay Carney in Mullumbimby. Today we're at Jay's house, so you can probably hear the builders in the background. It's all part of the plan.
Exactly.
So, hope you had a chance to listen to the first episode with Jay, but if not, we're going to jump straight into it. Jay outlined quite a few principles. I'm not quite sure if, for living.
Ideologies and certain new perspectives, perhaps, would be a good way to explain it.
Yeah.
So as the process unfolds with people and you want to start feeling there's a way that you can activate the earthling within yourself to be more present than the human is, there's the way it'll happen is you'll start living your life and you'll understand that, I'm coming to a discord here. I'm feeling uncomfortable for some reason. Your boss isn't treating you well, you needed some time out from your children or your girlfriend or whatever life is throwing at you where you're feeling a bit separated. Usually as the human, you're going to feel you need to defend yourself against it. As the fight or flight syndrome comes up. So you're either going to fight with it, which happens a lot. All the domestic violence, all the world violence is from fighting with ourselves. Or you're going to try and run away from it and hide it and say, oh, well, it's not really there. If I run away and don't pay attention, it'll be okay. But there's actually a third perspective that we can use, and that's to see that we brought it to ourselves. So if we go back to that ceremony and we come to the understanding that whatever happened in our life, we brought it there. Nobody else is doing things to us anymore. We are the life that we are. So therefore, everything, and I mean, in the bigger picture, everything that happens in your life is you happening to yourself. And as soon as you have that really deep understanding, everything in your life becomes a healer. And when you have opposition, I look for opposition. I look, where can I find some discord? Where can I find some upset? Because those are my ways to grow. Those are ways in which I'll find, when I was a human, I used to think my boss was an idiot or blah, blah, blah. My girlfriend didn't pay attention to me enough or whatever the issue was. We'll have issues outside of ourselves. And as long as we disempower ourselves by making those outside issues responsible for the way we're going to feel and act and react in life, the next moment of our world is active and reactive to the experience of the past. And so we're never allowing ourselves to heal from an experience as much as be victimized by it. Well, the Earthling can now understand how to use the energy around yourself as a healing form rather than in some kind of victim form.
So the Earthling then isn't threatened by anything?
Not really. It's because it's been everything. When you look back through the billions of years, I've been everything a male or any human form, any life form is going to be on the planet. And so what am I afraid of? And when you have fear, the other thing is people say, do I have to close it off? No, you don't have to close that. If you're going to be angry, be angry. If you're going to be jealous, be jealous. If you're going to be whatever the human emotion is, be that. But also be aware you have a choice. Now you have a choice, because before you didn't think you did. You think you had to react to what your boss was saying or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever was outside of you, thinking they had influences over you. Well, they did when you gave it to them.
So
take that back.
So when I know when we spoke before, you'd said, when a situation arises, to let it go, which is, wanted to dig in that just a little bit. What kind of tips do you have for people in the process of letting go? Because it can be challenging when you are in that stage of,
Absolutely. The best way to let it go is to realize it's you. Take it on board first. Before you let it go, you have to take it on board. Because if you're just trying to let it go and push it away, it'll keep coming back until you take it on board. You have to realize whatever the upset is you.
So what's the what would I personally think speech is very important to how our thoughts are derived.
Mm-hmm.
What is a sentence you might run in your mind? Like, is there any particular words you may use, or a typical, you've got your process for your praying? Is there anything like that for letting it go?
Well, it would probably be just finding a little bit of quiet for yourself. Because when you're in the moment of a reactive experiences, it's going to be hard to find that. It's a few seconds sometimes. It might take a few minutes. I mean, for me, when I first started this, it might be a day or two later. I think, I could have acted and reacted differently than that. So don't be hard on yourself. You have to be anything than what you are. That's step number one. Because otherwise, we're always going to think, I could have been better. We're always going to be condemning ourselves and not being good enough. We are good enough. And when we come to that realization of the little bit of desperation, the right phrase will come, because the phrase will be changing from time to time as to what it is. Like, if you can give me a more concrete example, I'll give you a more concrete phrase. But a little one like, I can't pay the bills, I'm really stressed about paying the bills. And then the phrase might be, but I know I'm abundant. I know I can fill that in because I'm the whole process of life. So where's my lack? My lack is in training. I was trained to think of scarcity. I was trained to think I had to be nice to everybody, and it starts with your childhood. Like I say, your mother and your father, you want approval from them, so you start being what they want you to be. Be nice, and we'll smile at you. If you're naughty, you're going to be in the corner. So we're trained really early to start trying to behave nice, or quote unquote behave what other people around us want from us. Stop.
Yeah. So we are the reprogrammers then? We can reprogram ourselves?
Exactly. Okay. And for me, there's been different teachers, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, even the guy that wrote the Conversation with God, Neil Donald Walsh.
Yeah, that was a big book for me, for sure.
Yeah. So that's the process that I love to share with people, is you don't have to follow anybody else. Follow your life. Your life is the guide. You don't have to go to a special school. You don't have to go to anywhere, India or wherever the spiritual practice is at the moment. Your life is a spiritual practice. And as soon as you acknowledge that and start invoking that within your presence of life, it is what it is. It's amazing, because within 1 year of really going through the process, and that's what Joe Dispenza and a lot of these guys will say, it takes at least pretty much a month, 28 days to a month, to reprogram our brains, to start thinking of ourselves as something different than the little human entity that we are. So that little ceremony that we said at the beginning, everyone that's listening to this now, you're going to eat, you're going to breathe, you're going to drink water. Treat it as a special occasion that it is. Don't just eat because you're bored. Don't just drink because you're thirsty. Don't make it a mundane presence, because it isn't. It's really special to be able to take all this stuff around you and to be able to flow all this molecular consciousness. It's a really, really special time, and especially now where there's so much separation and anxiety and presence on the global level of anxiety and violence, that's expressed within yourself. But when you heal that, you'll create a whole new world, because the planet is made up of 7+ billion worlds. Your world's completely separate than your mother's, your father's, your siblings, your lovers, whoever you have is around you. When you have an experience in your life, even if it's a shared experience, something like rain or sunshine or whatever the shared experience is, every person that has that experience will create a world from it of love or hate, good or bad. It's just a human thing. We judge every experience and categorize it. Oh, I want more of that. Oh, but that wasn't so good. I don't want as much of that, which is fine. That's the whole thing of contrast, learning how to use contrast, not running away from it, not feeling it's a fearful thing. Use your contrast. That will show you, like if I have something around myself, in fact, perfect little example, I was on a bike ride the other day. As I'm riding past, this gentleman's on the side of the road fixing a flat tire on his car. So in his hurry to get out of the car, whatever, he'd left his door wide open right in the bicycle lane. So I just pulled over carefully and I said, do you mind, mate, if I just close your door for you, because it's in the cycle lane? And he had some words to me, you could have gone around, blah, blah, blah. Sure, I could put myself in traffic, but he could have left the door closed too. But anyway, he had a bit of a problem with me asking him to close his door. But he did, and then I just rode off. And so as I rode off, I said, wow, it's kind of interesting. I didn't really take on board his anger. I could feel his frustration. He had been inconvenienced with his flat tire, and I probably could have handled it different by offering him assistance rather than just asking him to do something I wanted to be done. So there could have been slightly different, interactions between us. But I just left with a healing vibration saying, I love you, man. Within myself, even though I know you're upset with me for asking for that, I'm not going to allow that to interfere with the rest of my ride, the rest of my day. So I left it with him. He can be angry.
Yeah, so as far as when you have those encounters, because you're very far down the path, I'm really, which is great, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of people, including myself, that are, maybe not quite as far down the path. So there's little tidbits, like if you have a conflict, you say, love you, brother.
Yep. And that started years ago by just waving to the cars that come around me, good or bad cars, because I humanized myself. So as you're riding along, cars come close to you, and if they're engaged with a conversation with the people, they're trying to tune their phone, their radio station in, air conditioning, whatever they're doing in the car, they might only see you as a road sign or an object, right?
Right.
So what I do is activate myself. So when I can hear, and I've got good hearing, when I hear vehicles coming up behind me, I take my arm off the steering wheel and I wave to them, or my handlebars, and I wave to them. And three things are kind of happening there. One is that they're like actively engaged now. Ooh, there's something happening up there. This guy's got his hand off his handlebars. The next thing in their mind is probably, ooh, he's unstable. He's only got the one hand. Oh, what's he doing with that hand? Is he throwing something away? I should go further away from him in case he's disposing of rubbish or something like that. Not that I would, of course, but there's a lot of things that start happening. And when that happens, then the final thing is, oh, he's waving to me. And then I've got a human interaction where we can actually be, I'm not just an object to them, inconveniencing them on the road anymore. I'm a human being expressing myself in the way I want to transport myself. And pretty much it's gone from people just, giving me a bigger berth, which was great, to people waving back. Wow, it's great. People now see me as a regular thing on the road and wave back. I've got friends.
So when you say activate yourself, can you keep talking about that? It's an interesting concept.
Well, a lot of times we'll see ourselves as not necessarily puppets, but we're coming back to the idea that we're trying to live by somebody else's appreciation. And when you do that, you're going to find yourself in this turmoil quite often because other people's appreciation of you changes by what they consider your value to you is. I had a perfect little example again to another friend of mine. He's normally a cyclist. He gave up on cars ages ago. But now he's got himself roped into being a chauffeur for this other drunk that lost his license. The drunk wants to get a ride to go to work. So he's corralled my friend into paying him a couple of bucks to drive him around. And my friend liked the money, but fair enough, everyone does. But I saw him the other day. I said, why would you want to be a slave to a drunk and enable him to be a drunk again? You're just letting him be able to carry on with his life, and the next time that he's a drunk behind the wheel, because he's just lost his life, he can wipe one of us out, or a family, not even just a cyclist, another family. I said, don't enable bad behavior. Activate yourself to know that that's not the really way you want to live. You don't want to activate things that are bad around you. So activate yourself to be the presence that you are, and you'll want to do more good. When you fall, everyone stumbles. You're not going to be good all the time. But when you have choices in life, make the choice that's going to be better for you. Don't worry about your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. They're going to have their own choices in life. Their idea, their thing is to be good to them, right? Your life should be good to you. And if it's not good to everybody else, they're going to call you selfish. Oh, but you don't do the things I want you to do. What, should I go to your pity party? What, should I be alcoholic as well, as you are? No. Be the truth that you are, and eventually, if they want to see their own truth, great. If they don't, well, at least you're being true to yourself.
Now, that kind of dialogue, is that human dialogue or earthling dialogue?
Probably melding both, because I kind of live in that presence of really being the whole thing now, and I can fluctuate between the two. The other day I did something kind of strange. I forget what it was now, but I said, I should have been different. And then, the thing dropped up. Hey, wait, it was perfect. And it was, because even little things like your cord being broken today. So the way things unfold, and don't stop yourself from being human. The emotions, in fact, the thing I'm studying a little bit more now is Abraham Hicks. And in that, I'm really, because in my vintage, I grew up as, the 50s, 60s kind of baby. And men didn't show emotions. We were told to shut them down big time. And so in my new processing of knowing that emotions are actually one of your best guides, I want my emotions to be more open and more aware and more, I don't know, out there, I guess would be the word. And the more I've allowed that to happen, then this intuition has opened up, which is what women seem to always have. But for me, that's a brand new process to be able to experience life through your intuition and be really profoundly affected by your pocket call today that made this all happen.
Now, as far as, do you have plans to, you seem to be quite natural at speaking and you know a lot. Do you have plans to get your word out there, or is it something you just organically share, or what do you feel?
Yeah, I think it's the world and my presence in it is coming more aware to this being needed to be heard. And normally I've just kind of sat on my little bench in Mullum and shared it with the people that are open to it. It's kind of interesting because any of this, like, can't be thrown at people. It has to be offered. And if you're just trying to push it on to people, oh, I'm a vegetarian now, this is the best thing, oh, I'm a non-smoker now, I'm a non-alcoholic, whatever, like, I don't want to be on some pedestal. But it's beautiful when our involvement happened that it's an organic process, like I had been, a lot of people told me, oh, you got to be on YouTube, you got to be doing this, doing that, and I'm feeling drawn to that. And then when you came up and said, oh, I do podcasts on unusual people, I said, well, I'm pretty unusual. Why don't we try one? And yeah, it's been great. And I feel you'll once you put this out onto the air, we'll see how it happens. For me, there's 7 billion plus people on the planet right now that are on the cusp of being earthlings. On the cusp, because your body's already doing it. It's only your mind. As soon as we change the way we think, we are the earthling. Pretty simple.
Have you studied like mass populations and what influences their behavior, or is this just
only
a one-on-one?
On the fringe. Yeah, on the fringe, I've studied a bit of that because there's been these 100,000 monks or things in Tibetan things. I think something happened in New York or somewhere, like 10,000 people got together and had a day of silence. And there's been other ways in which the world has gone through these global, kind of events. And they've all been great. I think for me personally, I'm finding that if I can get the individual to come through that process, not necessarily even as a collective, but they will see themselves as a collective. So each individual can do it wherever you are. Because then you don't have to be in New York, you don't have to be online, you don't have to be anywhere involved in anything other than yourself. And so that's what I love about this process. Is it doesn't take a book, it doesn't take anything except you and your awareness, and then you're there.
Just to the concept of having the fringe people that were doing these things, and that's definitely something that I've been drawn to out of the city life, and I've definitely been drawn to that kind of fringe aspect where people maybe either bush building, not necessarily following the rules, or doing lots of things that aren't necessarily accepted. Do you see what role do you see that fringe part of our culture does play on a?
Well, I think the fringe is the individual expressing themselves. So it's very, 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 say that lots, dominant that we need to have that expression. Because the individual is being repressed in the moment. The individual is trying to treat itself like the cattle or the sheep or whatever other domestic animal you feel there is around. So the individual has been so repressed that we've lost our creative edge. We've become consumers. We've been trained to think, as ourselves as, victims of our lives, and we have to be competitive with our lives. So in our mistraining, they've disempowered ourselves, or we've disempowered ourselves. There's no them doing it to us. We've disempowered ourselves by our collective energy of thinking, oh, I need to make sure my mom and my dad are really happy with me, and I need to make sure that everybody else around me is really happy with me. I won't worry about me being happy. I'm just trying to sell myself out to being everybody else's, puppet to be happy. Well, we lose ourselves, and in that thing, you become one of the mainstream, or one of the people that are out there, thinking if I'm really nice to everybody else, I'll get something back for myself. No, start by doing the right thing to yourself first. And then when you're overflowing with the niceness and the goodness and the abundance and the love that you are anyway, then you have the right and the ability to go out and give it to other people. But if you go out there thinking you got, I'll make these people like me, I'll help those people, and they'll like me, it's wrong. They're just you'd be a slave to them. You're only going to feel like, I have worth because they feel I'm worthy. The worth is within yourself. Don't sell yourself out until you're so overflowing with abundance and everything within yourself that you are a natural source of anyway, that it's a gift for you to give to the world. You're not out there seeking approval anymore. You're not out there seeking anything from the world. You're out there to give it all to the world.
Okay. What do you say to someone that may be in the mainstream that knows maybe there's something more, but is too scared to pursue it or doesn't know how to pursue it? What do you say to them directly?
Everyone in their lives will have choices. Everyone in their lives will have choices. Start choosing the right thing for yourself. Right? People initially are going to say, you're selfish. You're only doing that for yourself. Yep, I'm doing it for myself. So don't feel afraid of being proud that you're selfish. Because selfish is actually enabling yourself to be the bigger self of what you really are. So it all comes back to that identification that, when you have choices, which choice is going to make me happier? And you'll know straight away, because if you make a choice and all of a sudden you're feeling upset or anguish or some kind of tension somewhere, okay, you need to make a different choice. It's all in calibrating. In fact, Abraham goes through this as a calibration. And pretty much you'll find anything and everything in your life that you enjoy and that's engaging with you is beneficial to your heart and beneficial to yourself and the planetary experience. Anything where you're feeling upset, anguish, a bit of, that could have been, would have been, some kind of discord outside of being happy, make a different choice the next time, right? Or just moment to moment dial. It's going to be like you're on the receiving end of a radio station. So all of a sudden I got really close to it and I could hear the tunes, but it wasn't really clear. So each time I'm making choices, just make a choice that's going to be benefiting you. Don't worry about the outside environment. That's going to be beneficial to you because you're making beneficial choices for yourself, right? In the meantime, when we're wasting all our energy thinking, but if I didn't have the coal seam, but if I didn't have 5G, but if I didn't, we're fighting ourselves. We're spending so much energy and anguish over what's already kind of a reality, whether it's evolving or not, but there's a reality that's established, and by paying so much attention to that, we're not allowing the new thing to come forward. Everyone goes, but that's reality. Reality's old news. Get forward with the production of what you want.
Okay. Do you have goals for the remaining time on the planet that you have?
To live and express myself in the most divine way I can. To be just of service to anyone and everyone around myself, because I'm the whole process. And once you are the whole process, there's no other goal other than to live in love and vibrate that out to whoever's willing to hear it.
So you talked about the act of serving. How does that tie into what you're talking about here?
Well, I guess it becomes your natural flow. There's not really even, eventually you won't feel you are serving, because the service will be such a way of life that it's just who you are.
Right.
And in fact, it's kind of interesting because I just got called back. I sold my bicycle shop that I used to run 3 years ago now, and I got called back to go help out because this COVID thing made all bike shops super busy. Imagine that. So anyway, when it came around, people go, you got to go back to work now. You're retired now, you got to go back to work. I said, I don't work. I've never had to work. I said, I go to service. I love what I do. I engage with people. I take things that don't work and make them work. I said, what could be more beneficial than that? I don't go to jobs. I don't work. And so if you find the right thing to do in life, you'll be living your service and presenting yourself as the expression of love and creative divine force that you are. And all of a sudden, whether you're going to be the gardener, the guy cleaning the toilets, the guy taking the rubbish away from the bins, whatever you're going to do in your life will be so profoundly you and so profoundly of service to the planetary experience of what we are, you're never going to have to work at the end of the day in your life.
Just a little bit off topic, but curious to know what you think. How do you feel about the idea of alien life forms?
We are the alien life form, bro.
Yeah.
Have you seen? In fact, that's a great question because I just was recently looking. There's a thing called the bugbear, and this tiny little thing. It's only a couple of millimeters long, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it can live in pretty much anything. It lives in like volcanic furnaces. You know, it lives. They're kind of trying to figure out where it came from. They think that it actually came from outer space in a frozen, because it can live in a frozen environment, a vacuum. It can live in all these different environments. There's actually a scientific name for it, and it's fairly common around the planet.
So it goes dormant, does it, while it's in the ice?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it can have like a super slow heart rate. It has this metabolism that is unique to everything around it. But yeah, look it up one day. It's called the bugbear is the kind of common term for it. And yeah, it's an amazing little creature, but everything on the planet seems pretty foreign when you look at it closely.
Now, what about other planets as far as, like just the classic UFOs and all that? Is that...
Well, I'm sure that like life is life, you know, whatever form it manifests as. For us, like bacteria or an alien form. I mean, look at the COVID thing, whatever that was. You know, that's some kind of alien thing on the planet now too. So, alien is only when it's separated from us, or we're condensed ourselves down to only being human. So everything outside of us is alien. Be the whole process that life is. There's nothing going to be alien to you. Everything's going to be unique and different from your perspective of what you believe yourself to be. But everything around you, the air, the trees, the water, the earth, like everything is a bit alien. But also, since it's our familiar territory, you know, we feel a bit more at ease with it. It's not some, you know, strange purple blob of some sort. So, you know, we come at ease with what we see as reality. But the reality that is around us is ever increasing and ever evolving. So therefore, aliens are forever going to be around.
Cool. All right. Well, that's awesome. Could you again leave us with your, what do you call it, affirmation or a prayer, or what would you...
Yeah, I guess any of those words would work. I guess for me it's just an opening, you know, a way that I can re-engage with the experience of who I am. For sure. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, well, so, again, it's been a pleasure. Again, just touching the surface, but yeah, we'll go out on that note, and I
really feel we're going to be having more of these conversations, Brad. You know,
I hope so, yeah.
I feel this is something that once you put these on the program or out there for people to see, you're going to get some people going, whoa, can we get more of this guy's information? Because it's nothing new. It's not going to, you know, be so strange that you can't take it on board, because it's chemistry and biology. But if people want to use it and activate it within themselves, they can profoundly change their lives. And that's the beauty of it is that I love to share, is it's simple. It's breathing, it's eating food, it's being actively aware of what you're doing, not just doing it unconsciously anymore. Let's consciously engage in the evolutionary process of the life of the planet.
But when you say, you know, biology and chemistry, traditionally you're adding other layers on top of that as far as... Well,
the spirituality, for me, the new language for spirituality is science. You know, the Bhagavad Gita's, and there's all sorts of other spiritual languages which are quite normally considered spiritual languages. But for a lot of us now, Greg Braden, you know, all these other scientists, we wanted to understand things from a slightly different perspective. So that perspective came through our understanding of science. And now when you look at something as simple as, as simple as the water molecule on a whole side level, look at the consciousness of that alone. The ability for it to have an understanding of what it is and a flow through of what it is, and then bring that back to yourself. And you're 70% of that water. Your body is 70% of that. And so all these things, for me, I came from a sciencey kind of background, but they became my spiritual awakening and my spiritual language to be able to participate in a slightly different way on the planet and engage as a whole experience of the planet rather than the little human that I normally would have seen myself as.
Nice. Well, I'm going to suggest that next time we talk about the consciousness of water, because that is something that's very interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, for sure.
All right, mate. Well, take us out with your prayer.
For sure. And let's do it with breath this time.
Namaste.
So we don't even need our water.
Perfect.
Just take a nice breath of air. Wherever you are, just realize that breath of air has come from the trees, the flowers, the grasses, everything around you that produce those oxygen molecules. All that oxygen that's coming into your body right now from that breath is from ancient times, but it's also brand new. It was just made for you today. It's just going to be this human experience for these couple of minutes that is in your body. Treat it with the honor, the respect, and the love that it is as it flows through you, from the Mother Earth, through us, her children, onto the Great Spirit beyond. May the life force and healing energy of the air, earth, and water we share come into our bodies to heal our hearts and our minds with love for all of creation. From the One, through the One, and to the One, we know and love the Great Spirit's guidance with our gentlest breath and our deepest meditation. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thanks, brother. You're a legend. We'll be chatting again soon. Thanks for listening, and live strong.
Woohoo!